Brakathia Hawul, Brakathia Washai, Brakathia Hawul, Brakathia Washai, Brakathia Hawul, Brakathia Hawul, Bashim Yawashai, Bahashim, Cha Kodash, that belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the whole field like that there, you Akim to Zadakim. That do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shaman. This week's topic is going to be entitled A Lot Going On, World War III, Nato, celebrity being exposed, a lot going on. So it's a working title. And you know, I was trying to upload a lesson I did with the Elder Ariala, the Elder Raquam. You know, we did a lesson, you know, a little over an hour and 30 minutes, pretty much going into all of it. You know, it was pretty flushed out, going on to the regime change that happened in Syria. We spoke a little bit about, you know, possible reasons NATO and the United States could separate. It's a lot going on. So that video is on GMS Remnant Saved Ba, I believe. I'll put a link in the description. But anyways, they shut down two of my channels. They shut down GMS Overdrive 144. They suspended GMS Overdrive 144, and they suspended GMS Bread and Olive. And you know what sucks about that is, you know, your shows sort of become linear, because a lot of the prophecies, they're sort of happening back to back. You speculate things as a man, and then things come to light. You're like, holy shit, you know, it was right on that, and you could kind of see a linear thing with the lessons, and you're keeping the flock fed. But they hindered that. Now you got to go to another channel that might not have as much subs or whatever, but hey, we all know at the end of the day, they're going to ultimately try to shut down all of this, because the main war is the war of information. And like I mentioned in that sit down we did, you know, Elon Musk acquiring X has really become a black swan event, wherein because he didn't want, when he purchased Twitter, he was going to be on the board, and then he just said, fuck it, I'm going to take this company private, and he bought the whole thing out. And what that does now is, and you could watch the lesson, you know, on Elder Ariala's page, okay, brothers have become more journalistic in the lessons we do, all right, because the information, we're able to just hear both sides, if you will. You know, it's gone are the days of YouTube where the algorithms will suppress certain things or shadow ban certain things. You can't pull up a lesson, you can't pull up information, you only hear one side of the story. Even Google, right? Google, which, well, of course, because Google owns YouTube, you try to search certain articles on Google, the shit is shadow banned. You used to have to use DuckDuckGo. Now with X, with TikTok, all right, people are becoming their own independent journalists, and we could look at that, all right, and we can say, according to the scriptures, all right, this is more likely, you know, such and such is more likely. Now the book of Genesis 3:1 reads, and I'm just going to read the first part. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Now the serpent is a so-called white man, all right, and subtle meaning under the web. So this man used a lot of subterfuge, okay. The main thing he's using now concerning information, the counterintelligence move, is this: you bombard the internet, you bombard things you look for with so much disinformation that you can't separate an organic event from a non-organic event, you know. So what I sort of do is sort of just, you know, I sort of like just go like one, you know, through the spirit, but like who stands to gain, you know what I'm saying? So you have certain situations like we don't know what stage, what's a psyop, you know, but you know, you speak as a man saying certain things, right? Prior to this whole thing being released about Russia, what was I saying through the spirit? I said, well, according to the scriptures, World War III can't take place, can't start off in Russia, Ukraine, okay? And I said through the spirit that more than likely, because Russia militarily, you know, it's like a Goliath versus an ant in terms of, you know, fighting against Ukraine. But guess what? Ukraine is being aided by 55 countries, and, you know, being aided by the most powerful country in the world, America. So that's in siege. I saw it as a siege. I said that's to bleed out Russia's economy, because even though their military might is there, their GDP is what, like 2 trillion. So war is very fucking expensive. So I was like, man, they're exhausting Russia's resources. All these different sanctions, but the sanctions didn't work as effective as they thought it would, because Russia had built up their war chest, but Russia was tied up, and sure enough, that information came out. It was all part of the plan by them so-called Jews, right? To get to sign a so-called cease agreement and immediately break it with Hezbollah, which is a militia group for Iran, Syria's ally, all right, and to keep Russia occupied with Ukraine. which is another Syrian ally. And when that move was being done, guess what? They sieged Syria. They took over Syria, and what took they wanted that land initially right after Iraq back in 2004. But again, we all move into the Most High's beat. The Most High is going to declare when it's time to do such and such. But it wasn't until, you know, a few years later, like a decade later, all right, they started to make the move on Syria. You know, all of a sudden Assad, you know, democratically elected, all right, is gassing his people, and he's a dictator. Why? Because he didn't align in Israel's interest, the state of Israel. They're the main culprit, right? 2 Corinthians 2:11 says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices, right? And look, man, as I mentioned in that lesson, you know, the quote of the Mossad is, you know, we shall make war by cunning. And that's a perversion of the book of Proverbs chapter 24 verse 6, wherein, look, man, the CIA is been infiltrated by Israeli spies, you know what I'm saying, by the Mossad. You know, the current incumbent, William Burns, all right, of the head of the CIA, is an Epstein client. So what them so-called Jews have done is infiltrated the United States, right? So if you're in the intelligence agency, they'll honey trap you, and let's say what you want is money. Guess what? AIPAC will fund you. So they have leverage on a small group of people that have major influence, okay? And that's how you control things, right? You don't bribe the entire CIA or the entire FBI. You compromise 10 people that could control 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So this is how come you'll run across former deputy FBI people or former CIA people that's pretty high up that say, look, we have Israeli spies in our government. Really legit speaking about it, because guess what? Not every single person, every single last person in that organization is really juiced in and know what's going on. It's just the very top. That's the people you compromise, man. So this whole war, a lot of these wars that you're seeing, all right, one is the Mossad behind it, but the Mossad is using them so-called Jews, all right, to escalate things, because World War III starts in the Middle East, and it starts with them gutter rats bringing everybody to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Exodus 15:3 says, the Lord is a man of war, Yahweh is his name. So the Mossad is moving the chessboard and the chess pieces, and it's only a matter of time before these nations are going to catch on and saying, wait a minute, you know, we're being fucked over. Like, let's say, for example, we spoke about Nato, right? It recently came out that the democratically elected leader of Romania, all right, guess what? He rigged the election, and, you know, the people don't really want him, and it's not recognized and shit like that. Why? Because he's not doing things in Western interest. He's not putting NATO in Western interest first. And if you don't do that, guess what? You're a Putin apologist, and they're going to go in there, create different color revolutions to take your shit over, all right? And that's causing a lot of these nations to fucking hate NATO, man. They hate NATO, they hate the EU, because guess what? These proxies are being used for Western interests, for Israeli interests, okay, at the cost of the lives of those people. So the people are hating NATO and the EU. You got Trump talking about trying to leave NATO if they don't pay their fair share of the military, because really the NATO's military, a bulk of that is just made up between the United States. I've been bringing that out for years. 74% of NATO's army is the United States, followed by Turkey. The rest of them is not really funding their military, because you know, according to Article 4 and 5, if you hurt one NATO nation, another NATO nation has the right to intervene. They don't have to automatically go, but they have the right to. So a lot of these nations are saying, why fund my military? I could put my resources other places, all right? But Trump is not trying to have that. Now, this dude Donald Trump, and I said this through the Spirit, he's a wild card, all right? Most politicians, damn near close to all of them are control, all right? But you always have some guys that are like 9.5 out of 10% control. And the reason I say this is because I just go based off actions. I go based off what these people do, and I say, well, you know, I'll give you an example. Him going into North Korea to see Kim Jong-un. Mike Pompeo didn't want him to do that. John Bolton didn't want him to do that, but he did it anyway. So you know, there is a little wild card factor with that dude. You know what I'm saying? Which is great, man. Which is great. You know, he was coming out saying that we don't want the United States involved in Syria, which is bullshit. The United States is involved in Syria, man. Okay, via proxy. They're not having outright war declared on Syria, because you have to go through Congress, but you just hire mercenaries, man. A lot of these people are just hired gun. that current dude that's sitting as the leader of Syria, all right, part of that so-called rebel group. Guess what? He's a former Al Qaeda. He branched off from ISIS. Okay, the guy that looks like Zelensky in 2017, he was one. There was a $10 million warrant out on his arrest. And these people get arrested, and just like the elder was mentioned in the video, it's crazy how they get arrested, get out, and then all of a sudden are funded and have a new operation going because they're being funded by Western powers, Turkey, all these different nations are funding these different rebel groups, as they call them, okay, to create regime change. You know, remember back in 2014 they had the white helmets, and the white helmets were people, which again were just, you know, paid for, all right, to take pictures of what's going on in Syria, and they got exposed for literally creating theater, all right, acting like people are being gassed when they weren't. You know what I'm saying? And then, right, it's crazy how they do things to control information, man, because, you know, they might put out an image, they might go to interview people and say, you know, what do you think of the new regime change in Syria? And of course they're gonna say we love it. Because think about it, you know, you surrounded by armed men with guns that just took over your government and asking you, what you think about this? Of course you're going to go along with it, man, because you don't want to put your family at risk, man. But, you know, there's a lot of conflict and stuff going on in the Middle East. A lot of shit is being stirred up. And a lot is happening so quickly, man. By the time you try to speak on one topic, there's already something new in the news. And that's the Most High, like that quote by Vladimir Zelensky, right? Not Vladimir Zelensky, I'm sorry, Lenin. Vladimir Lenin said, there's decades where nothing happened, and there's weeks where decades happen. And we're in a situation where weeks, decades are happening. A lot of shit is being brought out, you know? Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the sun, right? Everything has its purpose. And now we jump down to verse 8. We see it says a time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace, and the Most High has been stirring up the war tensions, man. You see, and it's up to the Most High is revealing us to the Spirit what the hell is really going on. See, this is not like the ancient world. In the ancient world, things were done very fucking overtly. Look, you're gonna be my vassal king. You better do what I want, and if you buck up, I'm gonna come and fuck you up and do a siege, right? Like, for example, that happened in our history, right? When you go to the Book of Kings, or Chronicles, you read about Jeconiah, all right? Jeconiah was a guy that was bucking up against Nebuchadnezzar despite the wishes of Jeremiah, okay? And Nebuchadnezzar came, fucked him up, all right, and put Zedekiah in there. Zedekiah was what? Zedekiah was a puppet king for Babylon. He was a puppet king, but it was openly known. It wasn't no secret like shit now. It wasn't. Like, for example, the whole situation with Romania, the people in Romania are saying our current leaders of this two-party system aren't doing things in our interest. They're doing things in Western interest. But they cover that noise. They cover that voice rather, right? But that's how things were always done in the ancient world. When you took over a city and you put somebody in charge, they have to be in your interest, right? Because Zedekiah got put in, but here's an interesting thing too. Zedekiah rebelled. And Elder Raquam, he made a good point. He said it's not out of the realm for these rebels, okay, that even though they've made a deal with the United States and Turkey and Israel, because they're hired mercenaries, they could probably backstab them and make a deal with Russia, right? Because, you know, who's gonna pay me more? You know, it's those sorts of things also happen in the ancient world, so that can happen. You see? So this is the Most High's show. And a lot of people, that's why the scripture says in the book of Obadiah, them that break bread with thee shall betray thee, roughly paraphrasing, because the United States and Israel have broken a lot of treaties with a lot of these different nations, and a lot of these nations are being played for their interests. It's like when we read Revelation 17 and 16, it says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Right, so that's going into NATO and the EU turning against America and Israel. You see? And we're seeing right now in real time how this could happen, okay? And the tension brewing right now. So that whole man, brother, I don't know what to talk about, or the spirit's not on me to do that. That's fucking out the window, man. This thing is popping off like popcorn. These prophecies have just been turned the hell up, man. And shit, man, they doing a lot of shit before this dude get in office. Before Trump getting in office, you know what I'm saying? And even when he get in there, shit is gonna be more turned up, man. And this is the Most High, man, speeding a lot of things up. So I'm gonna quickly speak on the whole explosion of, because in the news you also have this situation with Jay-Z. Somebody's trying to sue him of some rape allegations that took place over 24 years ago, man, in the year 2000, accusing him of rape. And he's coming up against it. And it does seem skeptical. You think if you were raped, why wouldn't you want to do a criminal case? Why would you make it civil, right? It makes it look like you want money instead of justice. Another thing too with a criminal case, it's a lot more evidence needed. So this guy's being defiant about it, but you did have a lot of celebrities leave when this dude Trump won, because a big narrative being pushed is that if Kash Patel gets in there as the FBI director, which that's already his nominee, he's gonna release the Epstein list, the Diddy list, and a lot of these people are shook. Hell, you got this dude Joe Biden already putting out preemptive pardons on certain of the people that backed him, because these people are gonna turn on each other, man. They're gonna devour each other. This thing is just like the mafia, right? Before the mafia fell, guess what? It happened internally. A lot of them turned on each other. That RICO case came in, they started snitching on each other. So just like any New World Order system before it, it gets destroyed from within, from them turning on each other, orchestrating these different things against each other, different coups, different assassinations. And we're seeing that, man. We're seeing that a lot of it, again, is bullshit, but also a lot of it also is organic. I'm talking about the infighting, just because I'm just going simply based off actions, So let's see where that goes with Jay-Z, man. I'm sure these people are reservoir dogs. So, if I'm going down, I'm taking down everybody with me. So the most I could pop the lid on all of it. In this scripture right here, Luke 12:2, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. And I've been saying for the year that's scripture of the year. This dude, Cat Williams, said it, on Club Shay Shay, a lot is going to be revealed. So that would make Cat Williams a prophet in that regards, because he said something before it happened. A lot is being revealed. A lot is coming out in the dirt in these celebrities. A lot came out in this whole Israelite thing in terms of these wicked ass leaders. And a lot is being exposed of what is going on over there in military and outside and foreign affairs. The tide is being switched to where people are saying, wait a minute, this guy Putin isn't black and white. All right. He isn't what the Western media is saying. If you're doing your research on it, people are saying, wait a minute, the moment you say something counter to the narrative, it's Russian propaganda, or you're a Putin apologist, that shit ain't gonna be working forever, man. Why is that? Because information is so readily available. So let's see if they try to make a move on X, because they're already trying to go against this dude Elon Musk. But like I said, JD Vance already threatened, if you take away X, we're gonna abandon NATO and the EU. So we love all this fucking conflict, all this shit that's going on that the Lord is doing. It's a wonderful thing. All right, so hey, stay tuned to the Spirit, man. Our salvation is there in the seams. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'Hashem Rachak Kodash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom. Oh, by the way, the link is gonna be in the description for that show that we did covering that whole thing, far more flushed out than this in transit. So check out the link in the bottom, you should see it. Shalom.